Hello and welcome to the She Force Show. I am your host, Amy Carlson. So happy to have you here. Today's episode is part two. And part two of this series, getting to know yourself better so that you can set goals and have inspirations and aspirations that really line up and make sense to who you really are. Therefore, we can have better success. So, in part one, I was talking about and inviting you to explore the question of who am I? Now, that can definitely set us on edge, get us a little uncomfortable, because when we ask ourselves big questions and even small questions, we are used to going with the first thing that comes to mind. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but typically the first thing that comes to mind is the tip of the iceberg. So, in order to get a little deeper, we get to continue to ask ourselves, and what else? And why? So that we can chip away at that initial answer and see what lies underneath it. And that is really the juice. That is the life force. That is the glowing light that will be at the core of many things about who you are, what you do, and what you want. So in part two today, I am inviting you with another question. As my family says, you are full of questions. And it's my natural curiosity. Of course, it's easier to do to ask you questions than it is to ask myself questions. I will just admit that straight off. But today's question is, what do you want? So first of all, getting to know, like last episode, who are you? What is the essence of you? And what do you want? This will really help you as you set goals so that you're not just setting a goal that maybe somebody else wants for you, or setting a goal that relates to something that is not really on your priority list, and then wondering, why am I not succeeding? Well, it's just not in alignment with you. So when you sit down with this question, what do I want? I will be honest, I put this question off for a while, knowing that I was going to come and do an episode about this. I did put the question off for a while. There are things that I know that I want, that I feel okay about. And there are things that I know that I want that there's some kind of resistance to. And for me, when I go deeper in those things, it's about coming up against the wall of worthiness. So you may find this yourself as you're asking this question today, and really anytime that you get into what your true desires are. You might feel a bit of that inner block, asking yourself, am I worthy of this? Is this a selfish thing? And so this is where you get to ask yourself, okay, you are safe to explore this question, and then ask, when something comes to mind that you say you want, then go a little deeper with it so that you can really get to the core of it. So I'll walk you through, when I started this journal exercise, I started with the more holistic and spiritual vision that I have about who I want to become, what I want in life based on that kind of feeling of wholeness, of unconditional love, of peace. And so I created that like an umbrella. And then underneath that umbrella, that's where I started to ask myself, what lines up with this? What would that be in material form? What would that look like in something tangible? So I had a really good idea of the more ethereal things that I wanted, but then lining them up with some tangible form related things was what took me longer to explore. Now, it may work differently for you. There's no right or wrong. I'm just letting you know my personal experience with this, almost as a way of hey, don't worry if this comes up, or, we're human. You might run into this kind of roadblock. Give yourself permission. That's where I'm coming from. So then when I started to sit with the question a little longer, go a little deeper with it, that's when I came up with things like, so here's my example of something tangible that, I would like a new home. And it's taken me a while actually to be able to really say that and feel deserving of that. So connecting with the ideas around that, why? Why do I want a new home? Well, I can picture it, lots of light streaming in. What I really picture is the kitchen, the heart of the home, the family room, and seeing family gather in our home and friends for meals, for holidays, for special occasions, for ordinary occasions. Don't get me wrong, we have a lovely little home now. There's just things, over time that you start to get clearer on, like, I would really love this. I would really love this. And there's some things we are just not able to remodel on our current home that brings us to this idea of a new home. So then I just kept asking, and what else and why? And the idea of a new home fits into a core value and a strength that kind of weave together for me of ease and efficiency. I really value an idea of effectiveness and efficiency, and the way that it's worded in the Strengths Finder, if you've ever done any work with that, is I am a maximizer. So I find a lot of value and interest in helping to maximize resources, maximize space, maximize energy, maximize money, maximize just all the way around. I love the idea. So finding ease and efficiency in the design of a home, in the flow of how things go within a home, where it's located, again, having ease and efficiency. So as I continue to ask questions to myself about what I want, exploring this idea of wanting a new home, and then asking myself why, and what is this piece about, and what does this relate to, then I got this broader picture of what I want, what its foundation is. And then I was able to really stand tall in that desire and feel connected and aligned in why I wanted it and what the bigger vision was. So if that is helpful to you at all as you land on a certain thing that you want, and then you get to tie it in. It's like having a little, okay, I want this thing. And then where the sustainability of that idea comes in, where the longevity of that idea comes in, is how you can connect the dots, connect the threads of that thing that you want to the rest of your life and who you are. You see how these questions tie together? Who am I and what do I want? So I wholeheartedly invite you to explore these questions, especially if they make you uncomfortable. That is always a sign to me, not that I always listen to it, but I will just tell you, it is always a sign that it's something to look at. When I start to feel like, ooh, makes me a little bit restless, makes me a little bit like, ah, then there's something there for me to look at, because obviously there's something I've been avoiding. And it's in this exploration of self, getting to know self, that what could be richer. And when you get to know yourself, then you can show up in your relationships differently, more fully, more authentically. And that is a whole attractiveness, what we attract to us, and a reciprocal energy of the fact that you are finding getting to know yourself and accepting yourself and loving yourself means that you can do the same with others. So that is one thing that happens within this exploration. It can also really enhance your relationship with your own health, because you get to know yourself deeper. You get to understand your true desires. You get to understand things that have shaped your limited beliefs. And then you get to decide, do I want to shift that? Do I want to reframe that? Where does that fit in my priorities right now? And then even things like how you relate to money can shift a lot in exploring and getting to know yourself. It can go back to that idea of limited beliefs, that idea of, am I worthy of this? Am I really deserving of this? And you get to shed some light on those things that were just fears, were maybe just something that came along at a time in your life when you didn't know any differently. So you adopted that idea. And now, all these years later, you shine some light on it and you go, oh, is that an idea that I want to keep active in my life? Or am I ready to move forward in a way without that limitation, believing that since this desire is in my heart, that it could be a reality for me? So that is today's episode. That is today's invitation for you to begin to explore. Even if you've done this before, go into it again. See if you can go a little deeper. See if anything shifted for you in getting to ask yourself, who am I and what do I want? I would love to hear what comes up for you. What is exciting? What's a little scary? Sometimes it's a very fine line between excitement and fear, right? You know what it feels like on a roller coaster? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So please feel free to connect with me on any of the social media platforms. At sheforcecoach.com is my website, at sheforcecoach on Instagram. And then you can just find me, Amy Carlson, on Facebook. Tell me what's going on for you. Tell me what you would love to hear in one of the upcoming episodes. And we will together get to the spaces and the places that encourage that growth mindset. All right. As always, know yourself, be yourself, and free yourself. Until next time, friends.